Your Humanities Half Hour is brought to you by the Northern Marianas Humanities Council.
Welcome to Your Humanities Half Hour. I'm Catherine Perry. Well, October is CNMI Humanities Month, and how appropriate that we would be pre-taping today's show on October 10th, Commonwealth Cultural Day. And here to tell us more about the Northern Marianas Humanities Council, who sponsors the month and our weekly radio show here, is Executive Director Leo Pangelinan. And Leo, welcome to your show again.
Yeah. Hey, good morning, Catherine. Good to be on the show. Thanks for having me.
You know, one of the things I've seen the council do over the last decade or so that I've been with you is you are drawing the community in more and more with partnerships. And there's something kind of exciting that happened this morning. Where did you just come from?
Yeah, this morning, 500 Sails launched their newest canoe. Yeah, as many of us know in our community, 500 Sails has been actively building these prototype canoes off of the George Anson drawing. In the mid-1700s, George Anson made landfall on Tinian, and they took his drafter took a sketch of our canoe, and that was logged officially in the log books, and it survived to today. And so 500 Sails picked up that drawing and used it to try to revive canoe building for the Chamorro people. So today was the launch of their 5th canoe, I believe. There were 5 canoes out there. The name of this canoe is Animuzi, and it's a smaller version. They're used to, I think, building 21-foot sailing canoes. This one is a 15-footer, so it's a little shorter, but it's got this great design. And they brought in Rebecca Manalo. She's an artist, a local wood carver and artist, and she designed what you see on Animuzi. So it was a nice event. It was across the street from the Bank of Saipan, because the Bank of Saipan had Animuzi on exhibit inside the bank for a couple of months now, and they decided to launch it officially today. There was a group of students as well as seasoned sailors out there to sail the canoes. Yeah, it's nice.
Well, I know 500 Sails is just one of many organizations that the council partners with. What is the purpose of this month and really the goal of the council's existence?
So, yeah, our goal is to, our overarching mission really is to advance the humanities in the CNMI. And we do that specifically by navigating the human experiences of our indigenous and diverse cultures, by enriching their lives through programs, research, publications, and programs. And so what we try to do this month, we partner with the governor and the office of the governor to have a proclamation statement made community-wide, and that was conducted on September 30th. We did that at the Santa Lourdes Shrine, also known as Ranunguan in
I didn't know
Carolinian. That might be the Satawalese pronunciation, but yeah, I learned, being involved with traditional maritime culture, I learned from the traditional navigators that it's a sacred place for navigators.
Really?
And it's codified in their chants about, a place for water. It's a water source, and it's a special water source for navigators. It does have some special powers or healing attributes, which I think a lot of our other community members, use the shrine for as well. So it is about advancing the humanities. We do that through our nonprofit organization, the Northern Marianas Humanities Council. We're organized as a 501c3. We're also local educational tax credit organization. So individuals who want to donate, particularly businesses, can offset their donation with a credit to the taxes they owe to the CNMI government. We've been around this is our 31st year. So just circling back to some of, how we grow our partnerships in the community. We make grants. We're a grant making institution. We use the funds that we receive from the National Endowment for the Humanities to distribute that right back into our community for grassroots and other nonprofit organizations who want to develop and share publicly humanities projects of their own. So 500 Sales is an important partner, not just because they're an important cultural organization in our community, but they've also availed of several of our grants over the years to support their efforts to revitalize traditional maritime culture in the CNMI.
And you've also hosted it in the past or sponsored in the past a number of publications, video productions based on research.
Yes.
And coming up this week, you're launching your latest video, I understand, exploring latte in the Marianas. Amot Giza Alamagan. Hello.
Yes.
I almost said latte. Latte.
Latte. You can use well, actually, it's latte.
Yeah.
If you see the lonar on top of the A, which is not there in latte, then you would pronounce it but it's .
So tell us about this project.
So this project is actually, it was created by and directed by Representative Leila Staffler. So we gave her a grant to conduct this work, and this is sort of a second iteration of her research and journey up to the Northern Islands. Her first film documentary she made was focused on the island of Pagan. So this is sort of the second episode where she goes up to Alamagan, and she brings Senior Donald Mendiola, one of our Zoamti, up there to
traditional medicine doctors.
Yes, to identify medicinal plants that are difficult to find in Saipan, probably more abundant on Rhoda, but nonetheless to document where and what is up there in terms of medicinal plants, and what type of plants. And during this trip, he also talks about the uses of the plants in terms of healing and what you mix it with, in particular, to make the right concoction to heal certain types of illnesses. So that's going to be so she wrapped up that documentary. I think late last month. She's been showing it to schools, to class sizes, or classroom full of students, and now we're trying to we're getting it out there publicly by having it at the American Memorial Park, and that is going to be on October 13th. This might come after the airing of this episode, right? But nevertheless, it's going to be out there at American Memorial Park at 6 p.m. on October 13th.
I can just imagine this must have been like a treasure trove for Senor Mendiola. You always hear the traditional medicine doctors mention how they had to go so far to find a plant, because of either the war or development. You just can't find these things anymore. So
yeah,
I can imagine that must have been really exciting for him to maybe see some plants he hasn't seen in a while.
Yeah, and we're particularly we're very proud of him going up with the group, because he did a lot of hiking.
Yeah.
And he persevered, and he was
motivated.
Yeah, he was the eldest among the pack, and around Saipan we don't generally have to do that kind of rugged hiking on very steep hillsides, but you have to do that up in the Northern Islands because they're volcanic, and you have to. That's what you encounter when you're up there.
So where will this be available after its public launch this month?
So it's already up on YouTube, I believe, because it's Representative Leila's project. She created it's probably going to be on her own YouTube channel. So you can search by the title, Exploring Latte in the Marianas, Amut Giza Alamagan.
Medicine from Alamagan.
Yeah, or you can look up Layla Staffler, and you might find her channel, YouTube channel online. There's there's a documentary that we actually produced out of the council with our staff and with the help of some of our partners like Mighty Island Video Production Group out of Guam, and that's the Island Time film screening, and we're expecting to wrap that up in about a week and be able to air that publicly. And so we've set October 24th as the date to do that at 6 p.m. at, again, the American Memorial Park Theater. Speaking of partners, they're very important partners for us as well. They have probably the best public theater, for our community
Very
to be able to do
conducive.
these projects. Yeah, share it with the community. So Island Time is a children's show. It involves puppets, animated characters, some, how do you call this? Three-dimensional animations, yeah. That Jack Doyle and some other artists were able to put together. We're very happy with this. It's a pilot episode, so it's intended to continue. So we're trying to get some feedback, not just from our community at large, at how effective this is at reconnecting our youth to the language and wanting to value it and learn more about our language, and maybe even learn, want to speak it more. But also, it was intended to also supplement the resources, the limited resources, I should say, that our Carolinian Chamorro language and heritage instructors in our school system have. So it's really dedicated to them. And so we're hoping that they can come out to this public screening, but also we'll have some opportunities to show it within their classes as well to get some more direct feedback.
So that's Island Time, the first public screening on October 24th at 6 p.m. at American Memorial Park. Also this month, you launched an activity, the program that you guys used to do in the past. It's kind of being revived, Civic Dialogue / Civic Conversation Series. What is this all about?
Yeah, so interestingly enough, this is something facilitated by your host here, Catherine Perry.
Oh yeah, I did, don't I?
As well as Beth Demapan. So
she's the coordinator for Mother Read, Father Read.
She
right?
is. She's
So
also the technical librarian for the Joten Kizu Public Library. And so they kicked off their 6-series conversation this past weekend on a Saturday. And I believe they're having it every Saturday or so through the month of October into November. This is it's a particular type of conversation that it's centered around source material. So they use it could be an object, could be a short reading. But the point is people come together to sort of examine this object that you use to as a springboard to a conversation with everyone in the group. It's kept to a small group to be intimate and, for everyone to sort of feel comfortable to open up. They're conversations that are not intended, to have the group come to some sort of consensus on an issue or take a position on one side or another, but it is meant to explore and examine sort of these difficult topics that are hard to talk about. And sometimes it helps when you have that object that is the focus of attention while you're having these conversations. Yes, and so
Beth
maybe
and I had the ingenious idea to use food, so we could get the food in there. Yeah.
So how did that work for you guys?
Our first conversation was really beautiful, I would say. Like you said, it's a small group, and it's unusual because a lot of times when you bring people together, you have an agenda. Our agenda really is to just talk about the issue, to listen to other people, and to have the space to be heard and feel safe in sharing your ideas. It went very well. Our topic that we felt a lot of people could relate to was a part or apart. Conversations about belonging in the Marianas. We're so diverse as a community. We're East, we're West, we're young, we're old, we're local, but we're tied to the global economy, the world economy at the same time. And so it was really giving people the framework where they could talk about these ideas. And it was a very nice exchange. And really, I feel like one of the goals is to just build community and just get people talking to people that they may not normally talk with or hear from. So, yeah, we're looking forward to that. And I believe there's going to be more coming up in the future from the council, correct?
Yeah, we're hoping to host at least one other conversation before the end of the year. We did go to get trained to be facilitators to do this. We spent about 3 days, was it, on Guam?
Yes.
In partnership with the Humanities Guahan and Oregon Humanities folks who were certified to provide training around, civic conversations, civic reflection conversations.
Well, we're chatting today about CNMI Humanities Month, and we are with the Northern Marianas Humanities Council. We'll be back with more after this break.
Hafa Day in Seattle, Marianas. Thanks for tuning in to your Humanities Half-Hour radio show, Sundays at 11:30 a.m. right here on Power 99. October is CNMI Humanities Month, and to celebrate, the Northern Marianas Humanities Council is giving away gift certificates for dinner at Keeley Cafe, courtesy of High Regency Saipan. For a chance to win, just take the Your Humanities Half-Hour survey at nmhcouncil.org. That's nmhcouncil.org.
Welcome back to Your Humanities Half Hour. Our guest today is Leo Pangelinan, Executive Director of the Northern Marianas Humanities Council. Leo, I know one of the things that a lot of people look forward to when Humanities Month rolls around is the Governor's Humanities Award, where people who really have made contributions to the humanities are recognized. And sometimes these are people who may not otherwise be known, which is always kind of interesting. We didn't know that they were working on something in the background. So who are this being recorded, of course, on October 10th? Who are this year's nominees?
So thanks for bringing up the Governor's Humanities Awards. Yet again, another partnership we have with the governor, where we oversee the nomination process from our community of individuals that our community feels is worthy of any one of 6 award categories that we offer or recognize. The first, or it's not in really any particular order, but we have the preservation of CNMI traditional or CNMI history. We have preservation of traditional cultural practices. We have research and publications in the humanities. We have outstanding humanities teacher inside and outside of the classroom. And then finally, we have the Lifetime Achievement in the Humanities Award. So this year, our nominees, those who were selected out of our nomination pool, I should say, is Dr. Beilu Solomon for research and publication in the humanities. She wrote a piece for a larger, a chapter, I should say, for a textbook. And she does use her background as a developmental psychologist to really examine our history and our indigenous culture and identity to see how that can have some impact on some of the issues we're facing with academic outcomes among our students in our community at the high school level and the college level primarily. So she does examine and talk about that and make propositions about how we can integrate our history and our cultural heritage to sort of make improvements in those areas.
Wow, that's incredible. Very practical.
Yeah. And then we have those that were selected for being an outstanding humanities teacher. We have 2, one inside the classroom. The person inside the classroom is Gloria Rashang. She is a Carolinian instructor at FMS Middle School, Fernando M. Sablon Middle School. She's been a Carolinian teacher for more than 20 years. I think she started at Goblerville Elementary School, teaching the lower levels, 1st to 3rd grade. Fantastic teacher. I mean, I've worked with her personally in my wearing my other hat as a Chamorro musician and going into schools to, and just promote awareness of our culture through music. One thing that sets Gloria apart is she's competitive, and we have a statewide Carolinian and Chamorro competition, and her students consistently, come out of that competition placing at various levels across all types of categories. But she also makes a point to try to get her students to exhibit what they've learned, and I think that's something students have come to love, according to her, and look forward to. But in addition to her work in the classroom, she's also written a book about just to preserve the names of flowers that grow around Saipan, as well as the names of villages in Carolinian. So she has that book that will be released soon out of UOG Press. She's also helped with the production of these short video vignettes of lessons in Carolinian. It's a production called Let's Learn Rafalawash.
With Valentina. Produced by Valentina.
Yeah, she produced that, yeah. Also with some assistance from the council through a grant. So she's doing a lot of interesting things, but primarily we want to recognize her for all the work she's doing inside the classroom. Outside of the classroom, we're recognizing April Repecki. April Repecki is cultural practitioner. She's a dance choreographer, instructor, and she's she's been involved with different dance groups. Her dance group, I forget the name right now, but they're pretty active in performing publicly for official events around our islands. She also helped choreograph and lead a group to dance at the Pacific Mini Games. She's also learning how to sail, learning about traditional navigation. I know she's been very instrumental in bringing in a lot of local women to learn about sailing too, with 500 Sails and her role there. So yeah, we're very happy to be recognizing April for that. For the preservation of traditional culture, we're recognizing Mario Benito. Mario was on your show. You interviewed him not too long ago, right?
On Marianas Stories.
On Marianas Stories, yes.
Being in the traditional lineage for chief.
Yes, so he's been actively teaching people in our community how to sail, teaching about traditional navigation, and yes, he does come from a rich background of learning navigation from master navigators. He himself was recognized as a Pairoro, or a master navigator, back in 2016, and he is also an elected mayor for Polowat, for the northern region of Polowat. And so we're really happy that he's continuing to sort of preserve and promote that aspect of his culture. And then we have also, for traditional cultural practices, we're recognizing Sofina Kitugua. She's from Tanapec, and we're recognizing her for preserving traditional healing practices. She's done that primarily through her family, but she also, people in the community at large come to her if they know, if they know her. People have talked about, what particular illnesses she's able to help them with. What's interesting about Sofina Kitugua is she passed down the laboratorio, which is the sitz bath, which helps birthing mothers.
Oh.
And her daughter is a nurse, Roca Kitugua, and her granddaughter is Pichi Kitugua, who's a midwife now. So they use what they've learned from their grandmother and mother to help them with their practice of helping others through their medical professions. And she's also like an avid maker of liga tutur and moar, and she also shares and teaches others how to do that as well. And then for the Lifetime Achievement Award, we're recognizing Senora Frances Sablan. And there's so much I can say about her.
That makes a lot of
She's
sense.
just a consummate cultural practitioner and really model for a lot of youth. She was on a talk show. She co-hosted a talk show in Chamorro at one point. So she's doing a lot with the language. She has been. She's part of the Chamorro Language Dictionary Working Group. But more so, she's really revived Chamorro traditional and contemporary dance in the CNMI, and she's been a part of a lot of the dance group that have survived today since 1980, I should say, when they first formed. So we're really happy to be recognizing her, particularly because she hasn't stopped, since she moved here. I think in 1978, she's just been immersed in the culture, immersed in teaching it, learning herself, deepening her understanding, and really sharing whatever she's learned about it, particularly through chants, dance, and the language. So yeah, that's Frances Sablan, Lifetime Achievement in the Humanities.
Well, I'm looking forward to hearing more from them. Hopefully we can get all of them on the show to share more about their knowledge and their experience. And
yeah, that would be great.
Yeah. I do want to mention, make sure we mention that the council, you do receive funding from the National Endowment from the Humanities, but you are also eligible under the educational tax credit law in the CNMI. So people who donate to the council can get an ETC for those that might be interested in supporting your efforts. And coming now to the end of our show, you have activities happening on the 28th of the month. Can you tell us briefly what that's about, especially the keynote address, which will be open to the public? Well, I guess both events are open to the public, right?
Yeah, so on October 28th, I believe that's a Friday, toward the end of the month, we'll be having the Minagahit Elet Forum. Minagahit and Elet is Truth in Chamorro and Carolinian. It's a project we started a couple of years ago to promote awareness and appreciation for the media in our democracy. The force of the media and how that shapes and strengthens our democracy. And so what we did with that project was we distributed a media survey to measure our community's literacy around media. What they felt was newsworthy sources of media around the community, and other categories. And what we want to do with this event on the 28th is really unpack the results of those surveys. We have a printed report and a nice colorful trifold with major stats about that speak to the responses from our community. So really unpack that. But what we're also excited about is we're able to have Julian Uggun come to keynote that event on the 28th. And so Julian Uggun, he'll be keynoting that event, but he'll also have a public presentation at the American Memorial Park in the evening.
So that's the 28th?
On the 28th, also at 6 p.m. We like 6 p.m. We think it's a good start time for a lot of people, especially those who have to work.
Yeah.
Anyways, Julian Uggun, he's a prolific writer. His latest book that's available or distributed in our community is, what is this? The Perpetual...
in fact, I have it in the car. Perpetual Light.
Yes. There's something in between there. But the Perpetual Blank of Light.
Keep talking.
So, okay, while Catherine's finding that, just a little bit about Julian. Off the top of my head, aside from being this excellent writer and really having an intriguing written pieces, a collection of pieces in this book.
The
properties of perpetual light, yeah.
Yes.
So Julian is, he's an indigenous activist. He advocates for primarily Chamorro rights, but other indigenous groups across Micronesia, particularly those who have had a history of colonialism, right? which, basically all of us have. He's also a human rights lawyer, so he's an attorney. And I know he's involved with a number of issues pertaining to climate change as it's impacting our islands as well as our culture and particularly our indigenous communities. So we're very excited to have him come and talk about those themes. I believe he also writes about the military buildup on Guam and in general, in the U.S. Pacific jurisdictions, which is definitely an issue impacting us here in the CNMI. So yeah, very excited to hear his thoughts on that. And we also know that Northern Marianas College has made his book a requirement for the current issues in the CNMI course. So he'll be able to have some time with the students enrolled in that course this semester during a short visit here. But yeah, very happy we were able to get him. He's in high demand, and he's been touring to promote his book out there off island. So he's been away from Guam for quite a bit. So very happy that he's able to make this quick side trip to the CNMI to share a little bit about what he's doing out there.
And he will be speaking again on the 28th at 6 p.m. at American Memorial Park, Julian Agun. Leo, I have to make a request. Next year, can the council not do so much during Humanities Month because we just can't fit it in half an hour?
Yeah, there is one more. There is one more event that I would like to put a plug in.
Please incorporate that into your closing thoughts.
Okay, thank you so much. So, in addition to trying to plan events in advance, we do look for opportunities to just sort of have something occur organically. And we're so happy that this theater group that's visiting Guam right now, who are out of Honolulu, but the storyline of their play that they bring to communities is about the Micronesian issues in Hawaii. Some of the discrimination that occurs, the social injustice that our Micronesians experience in Hawaii. So they're bringing that to Guam. And they do workshops connected to their theater productions to get sort of a sense of what the community and the locale that they're in is experiencing, so they can fold that into future theatrical productions. So we're going to host them here. They'll be here this week, and I believe on Friday, the 14th at the American Memorial Park, we'll have them featured. They'll do probably a 10-minute skit based on their larger production performance, but they'll also spend a lot of time with our community talking about their purpose and their process, and then trying to collect stories from members of the audience so that hopefully they can come back to Saipan and showcase a theater production that reflects our community.
Very interesting. Leo, thank you so much for your time. Any final thoughts?
Just, it's a pleasure to have you continue this show, Catherine, and be a part of Humanities Month and the Humanities Council. Also want to thank everyone and encourage our community to, when you see something, we promote mostly on social media, but if you see an event out there, it's likely open to the public and free of charge, and we encourage you to look into it and reach out to us if you have any questions or want to know more about the event. Otherwise, just show up. We'll welcome you in. Thank you.
Thank you. We've been chatting today with Executive Director Leo Pangelinan of the Northern Marianas Humanities Council. And if you would like a chance to win dinner for two, courtesy of Hyatt Regency Saipan, please take our listener survey for your Humanities Half Hour. You can find it online at nmhcouncil.org. That's nmhcouncil.org. We appreciate your feedback, and happy CNMI Humanities Month. I'm Catherine Perry. This has been your Humanities Half Hour.
Your Humanities Half Hour is a production of the Northern Marianas Humanities Council, funded in part by the National Endowment for the Humanities. Any views, findings, or recommendations expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily represent those of the National Endowment for the Humanities or the Northern Marianas Humanities Council.